What's good, Elevators? It's your boy Elevation here with another episode of the JBP Elevated, where we speak on the Joe Budden podcast and all of his co-hosts on and off the pod. Dang, guys, the time has come. I've been trying to hold off on this as long as possible. I've been speaking on the main hires on the JBP a lot as of late because of the traction that they bring to my channel. Shout out to Mark, shout out to Mona, shout out to Flip. But the time has come. Ish, Ice. I remember when Joe went on a long rant about his former co-host and Rory and Maul, talking about how they do the bare minimum to get by. They weren't investing in their podcast at the time, even though Rory was recording at his house at the time. He was saying since they didn't have a studio, they weren't investing in their pod. They weren't investing in equipment for the pod. They weren't doing the things necessary to ascend. And it's funny that he hasn't touched base on that again, because since then, they've upgraded everything. They've grown their base. They've been consistent, the whole nine. Signed a new deal and everything. It's time we start to point the finger at Ish and Ice for doing the same thing. They don't bring anything new to the podcast. They don't come with topics that are outside of the realm of thinking, meaning they don't have to do anything but search in their Twitter timelines or hear what other people are talking about. They don't have anything interesting to speak on. They don't pay attention to what it is that they need to pay attention to. And considering Ice watches everything in his own personal time, you would think that he'd be caught up on everything. And shout out to them for, they'll at least interject in all the conversations. I'm not going to sit here and say they're mute. But Joe wouldn't feel the need to constantly hire people. I get he's trying to ascend, but if y'all were who y'all think and act like y'all are, Joe wouldn't be having to constantly make all these changes that he's making to the podcast ever since y'all came on. If we go back and look at when it was Rory and Maul, they were going to ride that thing out. If they didn't have any issues, it would still be just them three, including Park, so four, podding, and it would have continued to grow. They weren't reaching any point of stagnation anytime soon. They had all the chemistry they needed from the friendship. They had the insight from the industry so they could speak on the topics that Joe wanted to speak about. And because they were actually close, Joe was able to be more vulnerable and open up to the point where he's sitting at number one like he is today. Ish and Ice are too cool for school. When it does get to including them into the topics or poking fun at them, they both shut down. They do it in different ways, but they both shut down. Ish will go mute. He'll get frustrated, have his resting Ish face. Ice will get defensive as hell. He'll always call out whenever people are clowning on others. Hey, you just gonna let them say that about you, dog? Oh, they don't mean that. But whenever it's focused on him, he don't have anything to say. And I know that a talk happened behind the scenes because he's gotten better at taking jokes and accepting jokes being on him. But let's be clear. Ice has the training wheels on still, not based off of how he pods, based off of how everyone on the pod treats him. Even Mark, the person that shoots shots at everyone, including Joe, won't shoot at Ice because of how sensitive he is. And he was given word from the higher up that Ice is off limits. I understand Ice is a good friend and a good human being in general. This is not me speaking on Ice the person. This is solely speaking on Ice the podder. What do you bring? And the main reason I even wanted to speak on this topic is because Joe has been giving clues out the yin-yang. I already spoke on Joe getting frustrated that they didn't include him in the job that he provided them in their thanks when they were asked what they're thankful for. I've already spoken on Joe giving warnings to everyone and talking about what he's going to do differently in this quarter and next year in 2026. I've already spoken on the inclusion of another show. And speaking of which, I gave Ice credit for that because he was the first one that Joe spoke to of the new show in the first place. But just recently, I don't know if it was on this Patreon or the main episode, Joe just spoke on them doing extra days, which is absolutely something that he's thinking about. And I'll get to that after I make this point. And everybody up there said no. They didn't want to do an extra day, not realizing that he's asking this question because these are changes that he's going to make in the future. And the people that would have run up and been like, yeah, I'm willing to work, like Mark, they're going to be in the future iterations of the show. They're going to show up on the extra days. They're going to get paid more if that's the end goal. But let's be clear. Ish and Ice have been doing the bare minimum damn near the whole time they've been there. I don't want to disrespect them that much, but it's been years since they've just brought something else to the table without being on the shitter end of it. Last time Ish went viral was because of him and Mark going back and forth over flat earth. And everybody hates my take on this. I'm not saying the earth is flat, and neither was Ish, but the way he got cooked was the last time he went viral. Ever since then, he went on a 2 or 3 month hiatus of not speaking, and he's just now getting acclimated with the pod again. And Joe just took a huge shot at Ish, and he didn't take it as such, and nobody else caught what Joe was saying. When Joe was speaking on Ish being able to just speak, and he's pod ready because of how charismatic he is, and that he's been able to just speak on anything and everything. It doesn't matter if he's watching it or not. That was Joe talking shit. He's saying, Ish, if you actually cared to do what it is you get paid for, you would be one of the greatest there is. If you actually paid attention to the topics, if you actually did your research and studied or just watched content outside of this, and I can't even say this because you don't even watch the pod back. If you paid attention to anything that's happening in this zeitgeist, you would be one of the best there is. But since you're able to float, quote unquote, on just your natural ability, you don't try to improve yourself, which is why I feel like this bare minimum title fits admirably to them. It fits both of them. Ice is bare. Whatever I'm giving, here it is. This is all you get. And Ish is minimum. He doesn't put any effort into this whatsoever. Joe was not giving you a compliment by acknowledging how great you are naturally on cam and in debates and everything. He was telling you to step your game up by caring. Y'all not showing any thanks to him meant that y'all didn't care. Notice that was the first thing Mark said because he already picked up on the vibe that Joe was handing off. And it sounds like narcissistic thoughts. But no, nigga, if I'm the friend in the friend group that has provided all my friends jobs and they're not showing me any thanks, they're just assuming that it's supposed to happen because we're friends, I'm going to feel a way. So, yes, I think this video will be aptly titled Bare and Minimum. And if y'all think I'm bugging, y'all let me know in the comments. I've been turning up. I appreciate all the support y'all been showing on the likes, on the subscriptions. I appreciate all the support y'all been showing on this hype feature. I don't know what YouTube is trying to push with this hype feature, but I always pay attention when all these huge social media platforms that we post on every day implement new changes. I don't know if they're looking back in the rear view and they see somebody coming up, or if they're just trying to maintain their lead in this sphere. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to the page if you haven't. If you have, you already know how we rock it. You already know what it is over here. I made a 10 through 1 ranking list of the co-hosts on Patreon. Y'all go check that out when y'all get the opportunity. Once again, and I'm going to continue to say this, all the Patreon videos, as soon as they're posted, they're free for the first 24 hours. Afterwards, they will be behind the paywall, and you got to pay me to see all of the content. At this point, we're at about 80 pieces of content. It's not bad for a 4-month stretch. We're going to continue turning up. I appreciate all the support. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.